Alright, y'all, we finna get into it with some more Lil Durk update. Let's get it, man.
Absolutely awful news for Lil Durk has just come out. Some new paperwork has just been released, and it looks like Lil Durk's going to be hit with another murder charge.
Not another murder. Damn, another murder charge? What the fuck? Damn, God damn. Like, every time, bro, it never fails, y'all. This nigga, ever since he been locked up, that's all I've been hearing, just straight bad news, bro. For real. This shit is crazy. Yo, what's good, chat? Y'all trying to get a good microphone like me, nice quality and all that, man. Y'all trying to play the game and all that, stream. Look, link is in the description. I'm trying to hook y'all up on deals.
If only there had been somebody that had been saying that Lil Durk might have been connected to other murders for several years. I don't know if there were any YouTubers out there that had, maybe made a few videos or, maybe done a few deep dives into Durk's history and suggested that, he may well have had a few other bodies under his belt, but apparently it's now stamped, okay?
Dang.
The feds are allegedly planning to file supplementary charges, and Lil Durk is officially about to be charged with another murder. So, you might remember this video I did, right? Let me pull it up. You might remember this video I did, The Many Murders of Lil Durk. And in this video, I suggested, or more just observed, that Lil Durk's name has been connected to as many as 6 murders. Okay, obviously the murder of FBG Duck, that was very high profile. His brother Defang had been alleged to have lined it up, and obviously he ended up getting killed before he could face justice. Now, allegedly there was revenge for Durk's brother, and numerous people were apparently murdered in revenge for Durk's brother Defang.
I mean, shit, he didn't touch Duck, though. He ain't killed Duck. Bro.
Defang being killed. These two guys, Oil and J-Ski, were a couple of guys that were killed at a gas station in what was allegedly a retaliation, but also Stefan Mack. And that, I believe, is the murder that they're actually trying to put on Lil Durk now. I broke it all down in this video a year ago, reaching nearly 2 years ago. In November, this video will be 2 years old. But now it is official, okay, that they are apparently going to be hitting Durk with these charges. So this is Durk All Day on Twitter. It's a page that's kind of been following Durk's legal challenges for quite some time. And they've basically said Didi wants the judge to reconsider his detention, but it seems like the government is considering filing supplemental charges by June the 3rd, adding 2 alleged incidents as direct evidence, including the Chicago case and a 2019 incident. So I got the paperwork for you guys here, and it's bad. Okay.
Dang.
So the defendant Didi, DeAndre Wilson, is basically asking for reconsideration of potential bail. Okay, and the feds are clapping back. They're basically saying that there definitely is going to be some tough charges that are coming up. So basically it says they're sort of arguing, Mr. Wilson's alleged role is materially subordinate to every other charged defendant. All the alleged participants are in custody and the alleged enterprise is dismantled. Since the original detention hearing, the government itself has narrowed the allegations against Mr. Wilson, removing its specific allegation that Mr. Wilson was responsible for paying the alleged bounty for the killing of Lil Pab. So second, Mr. Wilson has already spent more than 18 months in pretrial custody, and trajectory points to much longer. That's because, and we didn't know this until now, so this is low-key Didi's defense are actually kind of leaking the fact that the state are planning to add more charges. It says the government has informed defense counsel it's considering filing supplemental charges by June the 3rd, 2024. It said the new charges would add 2 alleged incidents as direct evidence, including conduct the government has affirmatively withdrawn from its case in chief 3 months ago. Supplemental charges of that scope will not permit the August 20th trial date to hold, and Mr. Wilson's pre-trial detention is poised to become indefinite. So they're basically saying you got to give Didi another chance to get bail, because the government are about to put a whole other murder and a shooting on these guys as part of the whole enterprise, and there ain't no way that I'm going to get my speedy trial by August 20th. I'm going to be in detention for pre-trial indefinite. I could be here for years, forever. Okay?
Man, I do not see Dirt beating this shit. I'm sorry. Like, this nigga is done for. It's over with. For real, chat. This nigga done. I don't see it. I just don't.
He wants to be let out, right? So that's basically where it goes down. And this kind of says that the government superseding indictment that came second It charged Mr. Wilson and all the 5 co-defendants with conspiracy, aiding and abetting, using of interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, and stalking, aiding and abetting use of carrying, discharging firearms, including a machine gun, in furtherance of violence, all resulting in death. Basically, the worst possible charges you could ever get. Okay, and they're basically saying, look, the government withdrew certain evidence concerning the 2022 Chicago incident at the Lamine hearing. I believe that is actually the murder of Stephon Mack. So they're basically saying that the government informed defense counsel they're actually considering supplemental charges that would charge the 2022 incident and an incident in 2019 from Atlanta as direct evidence. That 2019 incident from Atlanta is the alleged attempted murder that King Von and Durk committed together when they were with AAB Hella Bands, who ended up dying in Miami randomly, and THF Bezu, who is now also dead. So Durk's the only person still alive that was even there for that attempted murder, right? So this is a big problem. They said that the court denied Mr. Wilson's motion to sever from Durk. They said the severance motion was considerably stronger before the government's withdrawal of the Chicago incident. That's the Stephon Mack murder. The government now signaled intention to bring both the Chicago incident and a previously unproposed 2019 Atlanta incident into the case as direct evidence, but neither involves Mr. Wilson. So low-key, he's not throwing Durk under the bus, but what he is doing is basically saying that you guys are adding in the murder of Stephon Mack and the armed robbery in 2019 that King Von and Durk did together,
Right.
where they attempted to murder somebody. He's basically saying, look, you guys are I got nothing to do with none of this. This is nothing to do with me.
Trying to cop a
So
plea.
please don't include me in that. And they're basically airing it out and putting it in front of the world that the state are allegedly planning to add those 2 incidents, the Stephon Mack murder and the attempted murder in.
Man, they just throwing shit on dirt, man. At this point, they just finding shit. These motherfuckers in the lab, like, yep. Throw this on dirt. Throw that shit on dirt. Yep. He killed him too. Yep. They just throwing shit on dirt at this point. Like, come on, man.
In Atlanta, outside the varsity. So he's basically just trying to move. He wants to have another crack at severing. Okay, they're basically saying that, look, they're rebutting. It struggles the rebuttal presumption. The offence is charged in 1 to 4. Mr. Wilson satisfies his light burden of production. He's produced concrete evidence that conditions exist that can reasonably assure his appearance and the community's safety. So he just wants bail, right? He just wants to be released back to his family residence in Illinois. Okay, he does not have any allegations that he personally participated in violence. The dismantled state of the alleged conspiracy with every defendant in custody. He's basically saying, look, everyone's locked up. The whole gang's locked up. The whole enterprise is over. Just let me get some bail.
Oh, bro.
Especially if you're going to add a bunch of stuff that I wasn't around for.
Hey, he like, please, man, I ain't do shit, man. What are y'all talking about? I ain't do none of this shit y'all saying, man. Y'all added extra charges and shit. I ain't do this. Let me go. Oh, bro. I feel him.
It makes me wonder if this is something that is actually going to go well for him. And it goes on to say, consider what the first SSI does not allege. The government does not claim Mr. Wilson placed the bounty, coordinated the murder, procured the rental car, ski mask or hotel room, drove any vehicle involved in the shooting, or rode in the shooting vehicle, or wore a mask, or fired a weapon, or participated in the shooting itself, or was present when the shots were fired, or paid a bounty. Okay, they're basically saying that all the superseding indictment alleges is that Mr. Wilson talked in coded language about a bounty, recruited others to travel to California and texted their biographical information so flights could be booked, flew from Chicago to San Diego, traveled by car to LA and traveled to a hotel where TB was staying, followed by a passenger in the white BMW that tracked TP's black Escalade, and they traveled to a hamburger restaurant after the shooting and shot back to Chicago. He's saying that's all that he did. All he did was all of this stuff, right? He traveled to a hotel. They literally went to the hotel where Quando Rondo was staying. All right, and they followed and was a passenger in a BMW that tracked his Escalade. So yeah, that's not gonna fly.
Right, nigga, that's called stalking. You stalking the man. What the fuck? You talking about that's all I did? Right, you stalking him, motherfucker. The hell?
Somebody's hammering. It's so annoying. Anyway, alright, basically, he's just trying to wiggle his way out of this, okay? It says the charging history has changed, okay? They're charging, they said originally at the direction of Banks, defendant Wilson would be paying the bounty or monetary reward or cause payment for the killing of Savia Robinson on behalf of the co-conspirators known and unknown. The conspirators hired to kill Quando Rondo. So they're basically saying that the superseding indictment removed that allegation, and they only have a remaining payment allegation is a general statement that the co-conspirators, known and unknown, including Banks and Wilson, would be willing to pay anyone who took part in the killing of Quando Rondo, but it doesn't allege that Mr. Wilson paid anyone. So what he's trying to say to get out is he's basically saying, look, the first indictment said I was there to pay the killers. The second one doesn't say I paid anyone, and it said that, you know, we would pay anyone who took part, but you ain't got proof that anyone got paid. So it says the narrowing's material. They basically originally the detention order was based on the fact that Didi was paying the bounty for the killing of Quando Rondo. Right there. But now the superseding indictment doesn't have it. The government has narrowed Mr. Wilson's role in a manner that goes directly to the danger and the seriousness of the inquiries and constitutes new material information being considered for the detention determination. So he's saying it's only right that he should be reconsidered. It's also interesting, it says the government doesn't even contend that Didi was part of the ongoing pattern of violence. He's only charged with being involved in the single incident where Lil Pab was killed, and the bounty is not alleged to have been supplied by Mr. Wilson. It also says the alleged underlying motivating event, the murder of King Von, had nothing to do with Mr. Wilson and is years removed from anything he was alleged to do. There's no allegation of subsequent violent conduct by Didi, and basically they're saying that, look, he ain't done nothing, he wasn't even around when Von got killed, and he just joined in later on, and he don't want to be part of this, okay? And he's saying that he's not a danger to the community, he never directed, armed, financed, transported or executed any violence, he is alleged to have recruited and organised travel for people, and it says that he is basically the least serious defendant in the case. It also says because every alleged participant in the trip is in federal custody, which is interesting because that kind of hints towards there being snitches, right? Because it's like there's a few people that were allegedly on that shooting, we don't even know who they are. Well, they're still in federal custody or something like that, okay? So they're basically saying that the whole gang has been broken apart and there's just no way, basically. So what's interesting is it says here the joint trial is set for August the 20th, 2026, but 3 months before the trial, so, you know, just this month, basically, pretty much to the day, yesterday would have been exactly 3 months before trial. So it seems to suggest that the government has, as recently as yesterday, signalled that they'll be charging new alleged incidents as direct evidence. And that includes, basically, the government withdrew evidence initially at February 9th hearing.
So they doing that shit a couple of months before the, you know what I'm saying, the court thing and shit. That's crazy. They just want to fry his ass.
And the defense refocused on the operating charging document, but then it says, okay, it wasn't yesterday, it was on May the 13th. The government announced that it would actually bring back the Chicago incident, the murder of Stephon Mack, and an entirely new incident, the Atlanta attempted murder committed by King Von and Lil Durk. So they've expanded discovery on 2 alleged events. So that means a whole bunch of new information, footage, evidence about those incidents now needs to be looked at by the defense. It says both alleged incidents long predate the conduct in this case. The Atlanta incident occurred in January 2019, more than 3 years before Lil Pab was killed. And it says Durk was arrested on those charges in May 2019, and the charges were dismissed under prosecutorial decision. So Banks was never officially indicted. And then it says the Stephon Mack incident occurred in January 2022, before Lil Pab was killed. And basically it says law enforcement investigated both incidents for years before the government filed the original indictment in October 2024. So it's saying the government had every chance to include them, they chose not to. Then they brought up the murder of Stephon Mack in an attempt to basically stop Durk having bail. And it says they withdrew the proffer at a February 9th hearing 3 months before the trial. Now the government is bringing all of that back. So they're basically saying this is unfair.
Man.
None of this involves Didi. He basically will sat in custody for months while counsel basically goes over and develops a defense to 2 things that even the government admits he had absolutely nothing to do with.
Hey, but he do got a point though. Didi don't get really no involved in that part though. What they gonna say? A guilt by association or some shit?
But it's like, okay, but the government's saying Durk had a lot to do with this and all the other guys knew as part of the enterprise. So I don't think this is going to work, but it does basically leak a whole bunch of information. And basically it says, the court itself flagged this risk when they denied severance so that Didi couldn't separate his case from Durk's. The court observed the motion was stronger before the government's withdrawal of the Chicago incident. So it says the government now reintroducing that stuff. It's saying the court identified that this was weakened prior to the severance motion. It's restored. So they're basically saying, look, you basically said that we can't sever because the government has withdrawn a bunch of shit that you weren't involved in. Now they're bringing it back. He's basically saying, well, I should have my right to sever or at least get some bail. So it says Mr. Wilson doesn't move for severance. He notes only that any joint trial scenario built on these new charges won't hold until August the 20th, and he'll pay for that delay in custody. So he's basically saying, look, I've got nothing to do with that. Can you please let me out on bail?
Bro.
You're going to spend months looking into these 2 new incidents, and he's offering, a large, maybe not so large, but he's offering basically a package of bail. He said his father's got $40,000 residence and he's willing to put up equity. His sister will put up a $50,000 appearance bond. His cousin will put up a $50,000 bond. And basically just saying that he'll be happy to be on house confinement, GPS monitoring all at his stepfather's residence, no travel. He just wants to get out of there. And I don't think this is going to work out. I think this is really bad news, because if they hit Durk with that other murder charge, he was already facing life. But now they put in the other murder charge on him. And as I told you in this video, there's 6 people that Durk, his name has been connected to their murders. So it's a very, very bad day for Lil Durk.
Man, Durk didn't kill Durk though. But shit, folks innocent. He ain't do shit. He want out. Shit.